Hey guys, what's up? How you doing? Today is an interesting day. I have been spending the last week trying to make a video that is up to the quality that I think is deserved on this channel, and yet I also made the mistake and maybe deleted everything last night. So, in the meantime, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging, I thought that we could do sort of a Q&A, but more of a specific one about self-care, self-love, body image, things of that nature. Not to be pandering or anything like that, but mainly because I do get a lot of questions revolving around that on my Tumblr, my Twitter, my Instagram. So I thought, since that's something that you guys seem to have a lot of questions about, I thought we could kind of talk about it a little bit. I like doing these videos every now and then because I think it's a good check-in to see how you guys are feeling, how I'm feeling, all the feels. By the way, I got all my questions from my Instagram, and if you don't follow me on my Instagram, you need to, because I post most things on my Instagram and my Twitter. So if you want to go to my Instagram, click somewhere on here, and it will take you to my Instagram so that you can go and follow me. And that kind of sounded like I said unfollow me. Please don't unfollow me. So you can go and follow me and watch my Instagram story, which is where I post most of my daily content if you want to chat with me on the daily. First question. How to stop thinking all of your friends hate you when they really don't? That is such a good question, and this is something that I struggled a lot with when I was in high school. I felt like a lot of my identity in high school was being the funny, nice girl that you could talk to in the hallway. I really found value in other people liking me, which is no new news. People don't really like being disliked unless you're like Piers Morgan or Donald Trump or some other fuckwad on the internet. I think where you run into an issue is when you take someone that you've kind of put trust in, like a close friend, and you start having insidious thoughts of insecurities based around the fact that they might not like you. If they really didn't like you, they wouldn't be your friend. And if they talk behind your back or say mean things, they are not very good friends. I think a lot of times you hear people say they're not your friend if they talk behind your back, but I would have to say that I probably talked a lot of shit in high school, and I think a lot of other people talk a lot of shit in high school, even about the people that they like. I think it's just human nature to be sort of incredulous and judgmental of others when you yourself are insecure. It's a lot easier to point out other people's flaws and feel justified in talking shit about people because you have flaws. And it's a good way to deflect so you don't feel as bad about yourself if you can talk about others. And I have to say that high school, it's just one of those things that you will have to deal with. And as you get older, you realize that you don't have to deal with the people that do talk bad about you or make you feel like you're not a friend. But in general, if you have no reason to think that your friends hate you, other than your own insecurities, just realize that's just your brain being stupid. That's just your brain being self-sabotaging. You're probably a super dope person, and the only thing that I can say is that you wouldn't be friends with them if they didn't like you or if they hated you. So don't second guess yourself. You have good friends for a reason, and you're a good friend for a reason. So lean into that and stop trying to make other people dislike you for no reason. How do I handle high school when I'm the only one who's not really into drinking or smoking? All my friends are usually so excited by this kind of stuff and usually are harsh on me because I'm not. This is like an age-old issue, okay? If it's not drinking and smoking, it's like jumping off a cliff for fun. You know, it's kind of that lemmings philosophy where if one person does it, but the rest of the herd doesn't do it, it makes that one person feel weird. And most of the time, the reason why people are trying to get you to do something is because they need to feel validated in doing that thing as well. So if you're not into drinking and smoking, just be the cool person that that's not into it, you know what I mean? Be that cool person in the background wearing an eye patch that's I've seen things. I don't participate in that kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? A lot of high school is spent trying to be the person that doesn't stick out. And at least for me, that's how it felt. And I think you have to realize that later on in life, that's what makes you unique, is that you are the person that stands out and maybe doesn't have the same opinion as everyone else. So lean into that. If that makes you different, that you don't necessarily want to participate in things that could potentially be harmful, that just makes you the smarter person out of the crowd, I gotta admit. And there's nothing wrong to a certain extent with enjoying yourself and hanging out with your friends as long as you're not doing anything illegal. But also just realize that the only reason they're trying to get you to do something is so that they can justify their own actions. And you do not need to be that person. You don't have to justify anyone else's actions. They need to do it themselves. Advice on how to stop being a lil, L-I-L, I said that on purpose, unmotivated blob. That's tough, because I can be an unmotivated blob as well. But I think it's baby steps. Will and I talked on the podcast about how a lot of depression is just taking steps, even if they're really small, like taking a shower, if you haven't taken a shower in a couple days, getting out of your bed, you know, taking care of yourself, reading a book, you know, it's those little steps. And I think you can apply that philosophy to a lot of things other than depression. Feeling unmotivated is annoying, and I feel it quite often. After my video got deleted last night, I was like, I don't want to do anything ever again. I'm done. And it's hard to bring yourself back from that point, but I think it's baby steps. I think if you can make a to-do list, that's one of the things that really motivates me, because I have something to check off, and it's almost like something that makes you feel held accountable. I've also read somewhere that if you write down your goals, like if you write down what you want to do, like in a checklist, that physicality, that like taking of your brain and putting on paper forces you to make that an actualized decision. Like, this is a thing I'm going to do. I'm gonna have to do this because I wrote it down and now it's real. And that's good. So write things down, keep a task journal, keep yourself motivated in that way. And if it's something where you feel like you're not doing a whole lot and you want to pursue your hobbies, you know, sometimes I feel even unmotivated to enjoy like reading. Sometimes I'd rather just veg out on the TV, and I know that I'd probably be better off doodling or doing something that kind of exerts my creativity. And to that I say, just do it. Hashtag Nike, hashtag ad, hashtag just do it. Just kidding. I wish Nike was sponsoring me. I'd be making a lot more money. I think it also helps to think like the baby steps that you take now impact yourself later on in your life. So like I recently started doing yoga at home. I do yoga in my room, and it's embarrassing, but I do it by myself, and I watch YouTube videos, and it's fun. And I will link my favorite yoga videos in the description box because they're great. But it's been my way to motivate myself to work out, because I don't really like going to a gym, and I don't like working out in front of other people, and I just have like a mental block about that. But instead of saying I'm never gonna work out because I don't want to go to the gym, I'm trying to find a new solution that makes me feel comfortable, which is working out at home. And even if I'm a little bit lazier because no one's looking at me, or maybe I'm not stretching as hard as I could be, or hitting that pose as well as I could be, I'm doing it for me, and no one else has to see that. So that motivates me, because it means I'm taking care of myself. How to forgive yourself for mistakes. Self-flagellation, or whipping yourself for doing something wrong, doesn't help anyone. It's always good to be aware. You know, the fact that you feel bad about something means that you are empathetic, which is great. It means you're a human being, you know? It means that you're not a sociopath that wants to murder people or take advantage of people, which is always a good thing. On the inverse of that, though, beating yourself up for doing something doesn't help you at all. And it doesn't make the situation any better, if that makes sense. Even if you did something really wrong, like you ate the last Oreo in the pack when your mom was really looking forward to it. Shame on you! But that Oreo is already being digested and moving through your bowels, so you can't do anything about it. And if you lay up at night worrying about it, there's no point. When I was younger, I used to repeat social scenarios in my head over and over and over and over again at night, trying to find an issue with anything that I said or any social situation that I had. It was like this weird compulsion I had where I had to repeat every scenario and try to find a fault in what I had done or said. I had to pick apart everything and try to look from different people's perspectives and see if maybe I had offended one person or another person, or maybe that other person had talked behind my back because I said this thing. And I would go in these circles, these like self-destructive circles, and it was so unhelpful, because then I would carry that with me the next day. And I don't think I was a very productive or fun person to be around, or honest person to be around, when I was so worried about everything that I did. I think when it comes to mistakes, like if you've legitimately made a mistake and you have realized that you've made a mistake and you're recognizing it and you feel bad about it and you're trying to correct yourself, that's all you can do. Those are the steps of being a normal human being with empathy. Just know that feeling shitty means that you're a good person, because you do feel bad about things. And that's not something that you can say for everyone. There are a lot of people that shift the blame onto other people and make other people feel bad for their own mistakes, and you're not one of those people, which is great. And I know that's kind of a weird perspective to put on that, but I think you got to give yourself some credit for being empathetic. I have exams this year and it's really stressful. Any tips on how to like overcome all the stress and apprehension? Prepare yourself. One of the biggest things I've realized is that I will worry myself, but I won't take active steps to stop myself from worrying. So I might think today, I have a lot of work to do, but I'll just think that all day. I won't take the steps to actually alleviating that stress. I'm one of those people that is a stress worker. I like to build up all of my stress and get all of that work done in like a 4-hour period. And that's just not healthy when I could be doing that work 30 minutes a day over a week and feel a lot better mentally and not be worried about that kind of stuff all week. In high school, I was one of those people that didn't really study for tests a lot, and then I would just wing it, and typically I did okay. But the times that I didn't, I would beat myself up because I knew I could have studied. I knew I had time to study and I didn't. And every single time I would make that bad grade, or every single time I felt like I didn't do my best, I always looked back and thought, why the fuck didn't I study a week earlier? Like, why didn't I do that? And I think a lot of people do that. So just study earlier. Like, just do it. But if you are already studying, give yourself a schedule so that you're not overworking either. Because you don't want to be doing like insane test cramming every day for 4 hours when what you're working on really isn't that big of a deal. I don't even remember what test scores or grades I got in high school because it doesn't matter now. I'm like 21 and it already doesn't matter. I don't remember the last time someone asked me for my test scores. This is one of my favorite questions I've ever gotten, and I cannot wait to talk about this. I'm so excited. Okay. I like to spend time with myself, in parentheses, go to a movie, out to dinner, take a walk. And at the beginning, it's really empowering, but at the end, I'm kind of sad because I spent the whole day alone. Any advice on how to keep the empowerment flowing? I used to get this all the time. We are trained as a society to feel bad for taking time for ourselves because you are seen as lazy or like you don't have your time prioritized correctly. I watched a really, really great video on YouTube recently that I'll try to find a link for in the description box, but it was all about how we live in a day and age where overworking yourself and feeling strained to the point of mental collapse is praised because that is what we are. We are a go, go, go. I'm better than you. I'm gonna get ahead of this. I'm gonna be better than my peers. I'm gonna be younger than everyone else. I'm gonna be ahead. And it's so important, and we place such importance on exhausting ourselves every day. And I think it's so unnecessary. But because we praise that lifestyle so much, it's very easy to feel guilty or lazy or selfish or sad when you're not spending time on other people or things that you know that you should be working on. It's hard to take time for yourself sometimes, but I think it's so good that you are taking time for yourself, because how are you supposed to know what you really want to do or what you really want to be or where you want to be if you're not spending time with the one person that can answer that question for you, which is yourself? So if you can practice self-love in any way, whether that be going to the movies or doing yoga in your room for 30 minutes every day, whatever it is, that's great, and you should continue to do that. And don't let yourself feel negative about it. We are our own worst critics. Feel great that you love yourself so much that you want to spend time with yourself. You're your own best friend, and if you didn't spend any time with your best friend, would they really be your best friend? I know you technically have to spend all hours with yourself, but you really don't if you're not sitting in silence and taking your mental thoughts in account. Even when I'm with Will, I love Will to death and he's like my partner. I love him so much, but sometimes I just need to be alone. And like right now, I'm alone. I've been alone for the past like hour and a half, and it feels so good to just refresh my body and my brain and just be like, I'm alone. I just read your book and absolutely loved your style of writing. Thank you. I try to write little poems and stories myself, and I was wondering if you have any writing tips. My biggest writing tip is to just jump head first into it. Don't be worried about your editor reading it. Don't be worried about anyone else reading it. Write things for you. I came from a unique perspective because I was writing to an audience. I wanted you guys to be happy with my writing, so I tried to make it tailored to you, but in my own voice. And I would say that through the creative process, I realized that being a good writer is a lot about being selfish and writing things that you want to read. So write what you like and don't think about anyone reading it. Think about pleasing yourself rather than pleasing anyone else. How do you deal with a friend going through depression and anxiety? This is tough because I used to be that friend that was very uncomfortable dealing with others' emotions. I was really bad at it. I wasn't very good at helping others cope with things. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that it's not your job to give good advice. It's not your job to say anything other than to just be with that person and listen to them and be there when they aren't at their best. It's not your job to fix them. And I think that's something you have to learn. And I think I probably learned that the hard way a couple times. If they do want advice, then give advice, but don't feel like you have to know it all to help someone else, you know? Everyone's trying to figure out stuff. How do you stay confident being on social media with beauty standards representing people to be a certain way? I mean, that's tough because I was watching actually a video by alllll. She did a video where she was kind of being honest and wearing no makeup, and I really liked the video because she was just chatting about how we live in a time where our parents and later generations have no idea what it's like to be so compared to your peers nowadays, because you have Instagram, you have Twitter, you have all these bad bitches to compare yourself to. And it's hard to see yourself as beautiful when you find a standard that you find even more beautiful online. And I think one thing that you have to learn is that everything that you see on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter is thought out. It's not something that is just fly by the seat of your pants, here's me looking beautiful. That person has genetics and editing software on their phone. Nowadays, anything that you see online could be faked. And that helped me because I was like, you know what? I can see them at their best, but I would love to see a picture of these people at their worst. Because I think that would make you feel a lot better about the fact that you don't have to be your best all the time. And like the facade that people put up online doesn't necessarily represent their natural state, if that makes sense. This is a funny question and it doesn't fit in the rest of this realm, but I thought I'd end on a funny note. IDK if this is a question for the latest vid or just a genuine question, but your Instagram story had me shook. Because how do you take a bath when you're on your period? What kind of wizardry? I was not aware that it was even an option, and I must know how. Girl, when I'm in the bathtub, you're already sitting in your filth. Free bleed. I know it sounds kind of gross, but just don't like sit in there for a couple hours. Just like give yourself a little dunk, like a tea bag, you know? And it's fine. I'm not that fussed about my period. It's natural, you know? It's not gonna do you any harm to sit in it for a little bit. And as long as it's not like filling up most of your bathtub like Carrie style, I think you're okay. But I do have a question for you guys. So I used, this is like on a different note, but let's end the video on this since it's honesty hour. I use the Diva cup when I'm in the US, and I recently started using the Luna cup or the Moon cup. I can't remember what it's called now, but I have it in right now, and it leaks like crazy. It's not like the Diva cup. Mine is leaking so badly all the time. Is that a normal thing? Do I need to get a different size? I know there are different sizes and stuff like that, but I feel like it is too tight and the sides release all the time. Is that gross? I don't know. I was telling Lucy Moon, I went to go get coffee with her earlier today, that last night when I went to go take out my Moon cup, it was like the scene from Carrie. I looked like I had been covered in pig's blood. It was all over the floor, all over my hands. It wasn't a pretty time. And I don't really know what to do about that. So if anybody has a better option of a sustainable way to deal with your period in the UK, let me know, because I am open to trying it. I'm also about to go on vacation and wear a lot of bathing suits, and I think my period is going to coincide with that, and it sucks. But I need to find a better solution than just tampons all the time. So help me out if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!
And I'll see you guys later. Bye!
He says with his pants down.